Tupac Yupanqui conquers Chile and reaches Magellan, or the Chilean Antarctica. From the book Tupac Yupanqui by the renowned historian José Antonio del Busto Duturburu. Their next target was Chile, a land known for its mines. The Jesuit scholar Cobo explains that Tupac Yupanqui, upon receiving news of the great provinces of Chile, ordered a road to be opened through the province of Lipes, which marked the southernmost boundary of his kingdom. Cieza adds, he marched with his entire army toward Chile, subduing the peoples he encountered along the way. They endured great hardship through uninhabited lands, and heavy snowfall blanketed them. They carried tents for shelter, along with many servants, yanaconas, and women. Although Cieza occasionally confuses Tupac Yupanqui with his son Huayna Capac, it is clear that he is referring to Tupac Inca. The advance through this harsh climate was grueling. The conquest began through the Chichas and Lipes mountain ranges, reaching the province of Atacama after countless hardships. The cold was so intense that it froze everything, men, animals, plants, even the rivers. At an altitude of 4,000 meters, the famous Salt Flat came into view. Only near its northern edge could the Inca army rest. It was then, in a swift and strategic maneuver, that the army conquered the entire province. From Atacama, Tupac Yupanqui dispatched several noblemen, Tukue Rikue, meaning Theon who sees all, to spy on and explore the Guasco Valley and other southern regions. These noblemen moved back and forth like ants, discreetly inspecting as far as Copiapó, now known as Copiapó. Once informed of the details, the Inca sent the vanguard under General Sinchi Roca, carrying provisions on llamas and alpacas, animals that initially served as pack animals and later as food, for their meat is very good to eat. After this, the Inca set out with 10,000 soldiers, who, combined with the many others in the vanguard, appeared in the Copiapó Valley, overwhelming the locals. The locals only dared to offer skirmishes and light resistance, after which they chose to capitulate. The next target was Coquimbo, now Coquimbo, which the Inca also subdued. From there, Tupac Yupanqui advanced, conquering all the nations as far as the Chile Valley, from which the entire kingdom called Chile takes its name. The valley in question is that of Aconcagua. His conquest was likely not peaceful, but the battles, Ifani, remain unknown, because the people of Peru, since the conquest took place in a foreign land and so far from their own, do not know in detail the trials they endured. However, Sarmiento de Gamboa places the bulk of the struggle in this region, stating that Tupac Yupanqui defeated the peoples and their leaders, Tangolongo and Micamalongo. Shortly afterward, the Battle of Mapocho took place along the river of the same name, where many thousands of Chilean Indians had gathered, including the valiant Araucanians, who had come to their aid. A very bloody battle ensued, and at its height, reinforcements arrived for the Inca, causing the Chilean Indians to falter and the Inca to emerge victorious. The defeated attempted to flee, but the Inca army pursued, hunted, and slaughtered many of them. However, once in their territory, the Araucanians fortified themselves in a narrow pass. The Inca captains, unaware of the danger, advanced recklessly, seizing the advantage. The Araucanians turned against the enemy, and a fierce and brutal battle followed. Cobo states that the Inca army was defeated and that the captain general and most of the imperial army perished in the battle, but he does not mention the fate of the Araucanians and their allies from Tucapel and Purin. At this point, the chronicles become ambiguous. The Battle of Arauco, therefore, allows for several interpretations. Sarmiento claims there were only victories in Chile, Cieza denies the battle took place, Garcilaso describes it as a draw, and Cobo portrays it as a dreadful defeat. Everything suggests there were no clear victors, or that it was a defeat. However, it is also true that the Chilean warriors did not pursue the Inca, which may support Garcilaso's claim, as the Inca returned unchallenged to the banks of the Mal River, accepting which at that time was the border against the Araucanians and the boundary of his empire. That phrase, at that time, seems to imply a promise, we will return. The halt of the Inca armies and the establishment of the frontier on the right bank of the Mall River reveal more. When the land ahead was poor and unproductive, the Incas were slow to continue their conquest. In other cases, as seen in the Second Chinchaysuyo campaign, they temporarily abandoned the region. In a third scenario, as with the Chirihuanas, they abandoned it permanently. From the Inca perspective, the land south of the Mall River could be seen as barren and unproductive. Half a century later, Almagro and his cavalry captain, Gómez de Alvarado, would halt for the same reason. Gómez de Alvarado, who refused to go beyond the Nubel and Itata rivers, told Almagro that, the further he traveled, the poorer, colder, more barren, and depopulated the land became, full of great rivers, swamps, and marshes. He encountered some Carib Indians, like the Juris, dressed in animal skins who ate nothing but roots from the fields. After inquiring about the land ahead, he learned that he was near the end of the world. In conclusion, if Almagro and Gómez de Alvarado did not continue, it should not be expected that the Inca would have felt any ambition to advance either. It was then that, foregoing war, he retreated and established his borders on the northern bank of the Mall River. The Pucaras, or small fortresses, of China and Taguatagua still stand there. What did the Inca conquest represent for Chile? In summary, it meant the founding of 19 centers of civilization, 4 among the Aymara, 7 among the Atacama, 5 among the Diaguita, and 3 among the Picunch. The main colonizing centers included Atacama, Copiapó, Coquimbo, Yayay, Quilpue, and Marga in the Aconcagua Valley, as well as Talagante, Maipo, and Melipilla in the Maipo River region. The Inca conquest brought to Chile the curricle organization, the construction of irrigation canals, improved agriculture, the introduction of pack camelids, and the use of chili peppers for seasoning. Military garrisons were established, notably at Pucara, Cerro China, and the Mall River, and Mitamis, colonists, were introduced. These colonists instilled a sedentary lifestyle, along with political teachings, central government, laws, and customs, economic teachings, labor, crafts, and improved nutrition, religious teachings, sun worship and the Andean worldview, linguistic teachings, the Quechua language, or Runa Simi, mathematical teachings, the Quipus, the Yupanas calculators, and chronological teachings, the calendar. It was a truly superior civilizing endeavor that spread the Great Inca Road, or Capac Nan, which connected what is now Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. This road was, without question, the longest and best designed road in pre-Columbian America. The Inca conquest represented peace, technological advancement, prosperity, and above all, culture, the rise from barbarism to civilization. The mystery of Tupac Yupanqui's conquest, how far did he reach? Considering only the political boundary, chroniclers point to the Mall River, but some maintain that he reached the Strait of Magellan and that the Inca beheld the end of the earth. If Lake Titicaca was the origin of the universe, the Strait of Magellan would be its end, even the abode of Khan Tixi Huayracocha Pasha Yachichik. That is why prayers said, O Maker, who art at the ends of the world, Maker who art at the cape of the world, O Maker, Lord of the ends of the world. Tupac Yupanqui left Cusco Tozark for the end of the world and returned to Cusco saying that he had seen it. What happened? We know that he previously crossed the Mall River. This is confirmed by Cieza, Molina, the Almagro supporter, Anelo Oliva, and Garcilaso. Garcilaso affirms that he crossed the Mall and reached the land of the Purimacas. Oliva maintains that, after crossing the Mall, he continued toward Chiloé and Calcara. Molina says he advanced, as far as the Strait of Magellan, and Cieza, who confuses Tupac Yupanqui with his son Huayna Capac, states that he traveled so extensively through Chilean land that Hasaid had seen the end of it. Our opinion is more modest. Tupac Yupanqui resolved the mystery of what would later be called Chile. This southern region of the Tawantinsuyo had 3 distinct parts, the land of the Picunches in the north, the land of the Mapuches in the center, and the land of the Huiliches in the south. The latter lived in the shadow of Quitatrépida, now the Osorno volcano, and extended as far as the Chachao Pass. If the Inca crossed the Mall River, as we believe, to reach the end of the world, he must have also crossed the Malin River. He would then have seen Lake Lanquihu, with its waves on windy days, and, in addition to Osorno, the volcanoes now called Casablanca, Puyehue, Puntiagudo, Tronador, Calbuco, Yate, and Hornopiron. In the land of the Huilish people, the days were short in winter, and the nights very long. The landscape was green and wooded, the rains were frequent, and the land was not very suitable for planting corn. Beyond the Malin, in the Bay of Pargua, lay the end of the world. From there, the land fragmented, shattered into hundreds of islands, the largest of which was Chiloé, the island of the seagulls. But beyond this island, there were hundreds of smaller ones. Chile has more than 43,000 islands. Their inhabitants were culturally impoverished, almost primitive, covered in animal skins. They danced around leafy araucaria trees, fished by corralling fish, and ate raw pure, a large, elastic, reddish mollusk harvested from the sea. From the cliffs of Pargua, Tupac Yupanqui must have gazed upon the large island, the precursor to the other smaller ones. There, the land began to fragment, there lay the continental end of the world. Beyond this, everything would be islands, canals, a vast sea, and bitter cold. Finding no significant towns and no arable land for yucca, squash, sweet potato, oluco, avocado, lucuma, cherimoya, or peanuts, the Inca must have considered the region poor and unproductive. He was not interested in its people, its land, or its productivity. The land of the Huiliches and its islands did not interest him as a province of his empire, and if it did, he left it for later. The truth was, he had reached the edge of the world, he had seen the end of the world, where everything turned into sea. Moving forward guaranteed nothing new. It was better to turn back and consolidate what had been gained. And so, as we understand it, he left the Malin behind and established his civilizing frontiers on the Mall. In the long run, this is the opinion of the chronicler Santillán, who refers to the Huiliches as Purimacas, a term that seems to describe warriors with feathers. It was not, therefore, the Battle of the Mapocho that stopped Tupac Yupanqui, because if he had been defeated at this river, how could he have continued to the Mall? The defeated do not advance, they retreat. But the Inca continued to penetrate enemy territory southward, which indicates that he did so in a victorious state. Consequently, the Battle of the Mapocho, though hard and bloody, was won by the Inca, who thus continued to advance into enemy territory, likely as a form of reconnaissance, probably with chasquis, or messengers. Only victors advance, and only in this way can his progress to the end of the world and his subsequent voluntary return to the northern bank of the Mall River be explained. Regarding the interruption of the Chilean campaign, the chronicler Hernando de Santillan suggests it was due to a cultural reason. The Inca's soldiers, he states, reached the Cachapol River, and from there they turned back because they had arrived at a province known as the Pormaques, a people not very diligent in their work and of little ability, and so they left them as a lost cause. Once north of the Mall River, they discovered many mining sites, extracted a great quantity of gold from them, built roads and irrigation ditches, and established all the civility that exists today among the indigenous people of Chile. For this reason, the chronicle also explains regarding Tupac Inca Yupanqui, having put in order what he had gained, he returned to Cusco. During all the time that followed, he was occupied in restraining those nations and settling them down. He appointed governors, erected buildings and small fortresses, settled mitimes, and collected gold ingots. Finally, he put his officials in charge, to administer justice and not allow riot or disturbance, empowering them to apply the death penalty to the instigators of such disorders. Finally, Mariano de Rivero y Ustras includes this version of Montesinos's memoirs and, in a successful synthesis, continues them as follows. He campaigned in Chile, installing 2 of his nephews as governors, and ordered the construction of a royal road from Chirihuanas to the Strait of Magellan, crossing the entire country of Chile. If the Inca reached Oceania according to the Spanish chroniclers themselves, why couldn't he have reached the end of Chile, if it was easier? Source: Tupac Yupanqui by José Antonio del Busto Duturburu, based on old Spanish chronicles of the discovery of America. The end.